Okay, as I said last time, what we're going to do is everything's going to start to take shape. We're going to work on the footer. I'm just going to do the top bar of the footer because we're going to do a double bar. And what I want you to use is to start to get you to understand grid a bit better. Okay, so the grid section in our documentation is, it has in layout, it has grid here, and explains things in a lot more detail. And over time, you get more and more used to this. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of things in our code. So we've got our footer here, and it's container fluid, so it's a full width bar. So what we want to do in our CSS is we're going to say footer, background blue. I'll get rid of that for now. And we're going to, I'll just put some placeholder text again in here. Just makes it easy. Control V, Control S. Let's look at what that looks like. Index, sorry, I'm just going to double click it. So our footer there is its full width text, but we don't want a text full width. We actually want a text in close. So all we do is we put a container inside a container. Okay, so all we want to do is grab rather than container fluid, which I'll just copy that, a normal container. I'm going to put that inside here, and I'm going to close that div off. So now I've got this placeholder text inside a container, which has the padding on the left and right, that's inside a full width, but I've applied the color to the full width. So when I save that, what you'll see is this text will jump in, so it's in line, but we get the full width of color, so it looks really nice. Okay. The next step is we now want to actually put some proper content in here. And this is where grid's important because it allows us to do a layout. So before we actually do a grid, we need to do a div called a row. And it uses the classes to know how you're going to use it. And each row, think of row as literally a physical row across the page of information. And then you will control that in a minute. So the first thing we need to do is a div class equals row. Close that. And I'm going to do that div and close it off. I'm also going to go back, actually, something I've noticed quite a few of you doing for some reason. Some people start entering their code down the bottom here, or they do it in the wrong place. It's really, really important. Every time you go to do an action, visually read through your comments. That's why these are handy, and make sure you're doing it in the right place. Okay, so if I'm doing my footer, I need to make sure I'm inside my footer container. So start there. I click down to the end there and say, yep, I'm now working inside my footer. Okay, because it works, it reads it, and it uses a parsing engine, does it linear, it puts it in a linear order. What's the top of the page is the top of the page. What's in the middle of the page is the middle of the page. What's the bottom of the page is the bottom of the page. You can later on learn how to use CSS and JavaScript to move things around, but it's much simpler if it's in its approximate order, if that makes sense. Okay, so what you want at the bottom of the page is the last thing. So I've now got a row here. Now again, if I do, I'll just so you can see it, I'm going to save that. It doesn't actually change anything. All you'll suddenly notice is there's a little bit of extra padding because you don't normally do what I do. It's actually moved things around, allowing for you to put a grid inside. Okay, so you never have a row without grids inside. Okay, rows are only there to organize grids. Does that make sense? So you're not having grids, you don't need row. If you're having grids, you must have row. And in fact, if you don't have grids, it won't work. So we are now going to put in 3 grids. And these are div class equals col dash 4. Sorry, I forgot that. I'll just put in a p left slash p. So I've got some text, and then I'm going to close that div off. Divider. It's just simply a divider. It has no other element than to divide a page up. So I'm going to go left, middle, right, and I'm actually going to add an extra because I want my text centered. So inside this class, I can actually go text-center, and that will center that class. There's a text-left, a text-right, is another class. Instead of you having to add the CSS, will mean all the content that's in that container, in that div, will be centered. So I'm going to go Control S. Again, F5. And we now have left, middle, right. Does everyone see that? Yep. At this stage, I haven't put any device breakpoints. And what that means is I'm going to go on, I'm in Chrome and I hit F12 and it brings up my developer tools. So it doesn't matter whether I'm looking on an old iPhone 5, 1, 2, 3 columns. If I'm looking on an iPad, 1, 2, 3 columns. Or I'm looking on you go responsive and I can drop down to 50% and I can pull it right out to a great big TV screen. Okay, still 1, 2, 3. Okay, because I've set that. And that's created because it's 12 columns. And in here in the grid, col 4, it's I'm taking 4 of 12. So if I make that col 5, 4 plus 4 plus 5 is 13. Good. And I refresh, it'll jump down to the next page. Okay, because that's actually more, it only allows for 12 columns. Okay, so I want 4. But now the situation is, I actually want this to look different on different devices. So I'm going to start with, that's actually how I want it on large. So on a large monitor, I want it 3 columns wide. Okay, save, F5. Now because I've only put one breakpoint, oh, sorry, I've gone back to front. It helps if your teacher does the right thing. Col LG-4. LG-4, Control S, F5. Now I haven't put any other devices, so it doesn't matter what I do, it will still be, automatically. There are some inbuilt stuff, it's already worked out that it needs to automatically stack that, but I want more control. So I can leave it at that, and it's automatically within the CSS. It said once that gets down to a small device, a 414 pixel wide device, it'll automatically do each of them as 12 columns. But I'm going to say no, I want to control it. I want to say col dash XS dash 12. I'll add that to all of them, and that's me saying on a extra small device, I want them as 12. But on a small device, so an extra small device is an old iPhone. Think of an old iPhone or some iPhones. I want col dash SM. I actually want the 2 on the left to be side by side, and the one on the left, I'll explain why in a minute, will have its own row, and the 2 will be side by side. So I'm going to say col on a small device will be 12. These, if I wanted to be 50-50, what would it be? 6. Okay. So now what I'm doing, I hit F5. As you see, I'm now on a small device, so it's stacked them all. It's 12. But all of a sudden, you go left in the middle, left, right. Because that one of the first div I did on a small device is 12. It's going to take up the full width, all 12 columns. And on a small device, it's going to do 6 columns each, which is 50-50. And then eventually it's going to then jump up to, and I could be even more granular. I could say on a, I actually might make this an MD. On a medium device. And I actually now want on a large device, I want the column on the right to be bigger. So I'm doing col dash LG dash 3. And this will be, what's remaining? 6. Okay. And then when I resize that, actually, did I save? Let me just double check I saved that. F5. Okay, so you can now see that there'll be a point all of a sudden it jumps over. It allocated more space to the right. Okay, so you can actually decide in your design how you use columns. Okay, this is responsive design. You can even, later on you'll learn how you can even bring up different pictures for different devices. So you could actually do your slider, could actually have a different slider image on the device, but that's later. So the next thing I want you to do is I showed you how to do a Google Maps embed. So let's say in this scenario, because I think we've set this up quite nicely, I would expect on the left here to be contact details. So you might do H5. So you actually start to put in some of your text. This will be, so I want a header, contact. What contact details am I going to need? Now, I've wrapped these in a P tag because it forces them onto a new line. Okay, so I'll do P email. So I've now added contact as a header, phone and email. Now I want a phone number to actually go somewhere. So what's a hyperlink? What's the tag for a hyperlink? Sorry? No. A. I thought you said A. Did you say it? So A. Href equals. Now if it's a telephone, you just do tel. And then you have to do the international code. Do you know the international code for Australia? 661. And let's say it's the school. Does anyone know the school's number? No. It's whatever it is. 1234. 1234. And I close that off. And then I need to close that A tag off. And that means when you click on that, if you're on your mobile phone, it'll actually load your phone launcher. By doing that tel, it'll load your phone launcher and it'll actually input the phone number. Okay, so it's really helpful for people on mobile devices. Email's the same, but instead of A, href, does anyone know that? Has anyone seen mail to? So if you go mail to, and then you put the email address, Mr. Jones at DT, and again I'll close that off. It will actually load the email program with that email in. I'll show that in a second. So I'm going to save that. Over here, we'll copy the same formatting. The right will be opening hours. And we're going to have a map in the middle. So as I said, the middle, we'll go into Google Maps, maps.google.com. We're going to look up Marylands High School. No, because you're embedding. You actually, so you watch here, I'll go share. I'll go embed a map. They've actually allowed this. I'll copy that string of text and I paste it into the middle. So in my middle here, I paste that there and I want it to be responsive. So all I need to do is I get rid of the height and I make width auto. And it will automatically size to my screen. So Control S. We'll now reload that. So you can now see, we've got our contact details on the left. We'd probably get rid of that. Let's get rid of these developer tools. You actually look, if I click on that, I actually see the tel down the bottom left-hand corner. So down here, and that would, if I was on a mobile phone, that would open up on my dialer. Email says mail to, and if I open that, I'm going to click on mail to. It'll open my email program. The map here is responsive in the middle. See, it's open in my email program with that email already written in. You can even do a mail to command and have the subject pre-filled and stuff like that. And the map is embedded in the middle, and that depends on the size of the frame. Okay, so I want to get that done. And then we're going to add another bar underneath with icons. I'm going to teach you a little bit of iconography. Okay, so that's the next step. Okay, thank you.